Sanibonani bafethu, Mr. Minier on your screen. Sikuleso sikhathi, grade 11 life sciences. So today we'll be speaking about the role of microorganisms in maintaining a balance in the environment. So if you were to be asked, what is the role of microorganisms in maintaining a balance in the environment? You'd say the role of microorganisms is that they play an important role in maintaining a balance in the environment and the web of life. How so? Microorganisms can play a role in food chains, they can play a role as decomposers, and they can also play a role in the nitrogen cycle. So I'll start by the role of microorganisms as producers in a food chain. So remember that in every food chain, it always starts with the producers and it ends with the decomposers. Okay, so now the role of microorganisms as producers in a food chain is that there's autotrophic bacteria which is able to produce or manufacture their own food using photosynthesis. So that food they produce we know as carbohydrates. Those carbohydrates will be available to consumers, okay? And obviously, these organisms will form the first link of a food chain, okay? Still on microorganisms as producers, as photosynthesis takes place, there's a byproduct that will be released, which is oxygen, okay? So oxygen will be available for organisms in processes such as respiration. Fine. Now we move on to the role of microorganisms as decomposers. Okay? So now firstly, as decomposers, these microorganisms, they recycle nutrients. Decomposers break down dead plant and animal matter and then return the nutrients back to the soil. So that's how they recycle the nutrients. And also they keep the environment clean, as they are breaking down those dead organic matter and returning the nutrients back to the soil. Somehow the environment is being cleaned by doing that. Okay? Then lastly, the role of microorganisms in the nitrogen cycle. Okay? So nitrogen is responsible for nucleic acids. Okay? So bacteria will convert the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates, which will be usable to plants and animals. So the nitrogen that we are using comes from the atmospheric nitrogen, which has been converted by bacteria into nitrates. Fine. So I think I've touched on the role of microorganisms in maintaining a balance in the environment. So the next thing that we'll speak about is symbiotic relationships. Many people tend to confuse this topic, but then it's very simple. So symbiotic relationship simply refers to the relationships in which organisms use in order to interact with each other or to survive. So now there are three types of symbiotic relationships that I'm going to speak about. Namely, it's the mutual relationship, parasitic relationship, and the commensalism relationship. So I'll start with the mutual relationship. The mutual relationship, it's a type of relationship that involves two organisms, and those two organisms will both benefit from the relationship, 50-50. Then parasitic relationship, it's a type of symbiotic relationship that involves two organisms, but then now only one organism will benefit while the other one is being harmed. That's parasitic relationship. And then with commensalism, it's also a symbiotic relationship that involves two organisms, but then this time only one organism benefits while the other organism is not harmed. Parasitic relationship, one organism benefits and the other one is harmed. Commensalism, one benefits but then the other one is not harmed. I think that's all about symbiotic relationships. You need to know what's a mutual relationship, you need to know what is a commensalism relationship and what's a parasitic relationship. Fine, we move on. We'll speak about the relationship between E. coli and the human intestines. Okay, so firstly, humans have a mutual relationship with E. coli. So now this E. coli lives in the large intestines of human. So now, how do we benefit exactly from E. coli since we are having a mutual relationship? We are supposed to be benefiting 50-50, right? So now, E. coli lives on undigested remains of food found in the gut, and in turn, it makes vitamin K, which can be used by humans. So this vitamin K plays a role in blood clotting. Okay, so blood clotting, it's this thing that happens when you are maybe when you have a cut, so your blood will eventually clot. You won't bleed forever, but then eventually you'll have a clot. So in other terms, or in big scientific terms, you'd say this vitamin K prevents hemophilia. Okay, so now that's all for today. I hope this was a nice 5 minutes, 6 minutes lesson, and I hope you'll remember everything that I've just said. Thank you very much.